Chairman. I'm going to get the chairman his own copy, but this is our latest version, and since he brought it up, and Mr. Schroer really underlined the need for federal investment. I mean, when you talked about that section of I-69 in your state that costs $1.2 billion, which is delivering benefits for the nationwide system, not just for your state. But again, I've been showing this for years. Amos Schweitzer's farm field, brand new Kansas Turnpike, there's where it ended because Oklahoma got in financial difficulty until we had the federal program. That's why we need a federal program. If devolution didn't work in the 1950s, how the hell is it going to work in the 21st century when we're competing worldwide with other countries, and then we were the dominant power in the world and we didn't need to worry about competing? So I'll get Bill his own copy. Now, Mr. Lewis, on your VMT, and I read, you have a lot of satisfaction with the small number of volunteers you had, 150 or so, and you had highest satisfaction among those who are GPS-based. And I'm going to have my staff follow up with you on, because of all the concerns I hear about privacy. Yep. I mean, when we did our first pilot in Oregon in Blumenauer's district, I mean, the people in Blumenauer's district are not representative of the people in my district and my rural areas in particular, and they were happy to, like, the government should know where I am all the time, and in my district, it's like the government will know where I was when after they've got the gun from my cold dead hand in my car. So it's, there's some real issues there that need to be resolved. But my question would be, did you use congestion pricing? I mean, you're tracking the mileage by GPS, because here's my concern. You live in eastern Oregon, you have to drive 30 miles to the feed store. We shouldn't be charging that person the same per mile as someone who jumps onto 205 in Portland, Oregon, which is backed up at rush hour, and now they're talking about, having to toll because to try and drive people off of it. So did you do variable pricing?
Thank you, Mr. DeFazio. We did not in our pilot.
Do you think that for purposes of equity that is where we need to go?
I think the system theoretically certainly allows that to happen, which is either a pro or a con against using a
right. But do you feel that it would be equitable to charge a rural Coloradan, X cents per mile to drive on an empty road to the farm store, farm supply store, and yet someone who jumps on, the freeway right downtown in Denver, at rush hour, they pay the same per mile? It doesn't seem right.
Well, I think the opportunity exists to evaluate that and to make different pricing. But I do think that and we're doing a second pilot this year specifically for the rural parts of Colorado, to learn more about their impacts and their needs. And one of the things that we found in the previous study was that many, as coming from a rural part of the state, that many of the highway users in rural areas have older vehicles, larger capacity engines. You drive an F-250, you're going to use a lot more gas than if you're driving a Prius in downtown Denver. And one of the opportunities for a road usage charge is that there is more equity because you're not paying based on the type of vehicle you need to use for your purposes. You're paying on how much you're using the roadway. So whether you're driving a Tesla in Boulder or an F-250 in Brush, you're paying for the use of the road, not what your vehicle uses in fuel. I think that's an opportunity. I think the issues you raise about equity on using on a congested highway versus a two-lane rural roadway, that's a very good comment, and I think that's something that would need to be studied further. Right. Is can you provide different levels of fees based on the type of road that's being used?
Yeah, well, and again, these are why we need, it's going to take us probably 10 years to get to something that would be acceptable nationwide and coordinated among the 50 states, since it isn't going to be a devolved 50-state program, because that wouldn't work too well. So, no, I appreciate that observation. I mean, the perversity of Oregon's current pilot is that if you have one of those giant dually pickup trucks, you will save money by paying under the VMT as opposed to the fuel tax. I'm not sure we want to encourage that, but I also get the thing about the older, less efficient vehicles in the rural areas. And My time is just about up here. I just want to congratulate. You've all been great, but Mr. Spear, thank you for your extraordinarily outspoken, factual testimony on the issue, and particularly bringing up the issue of I-66 and $46.75 to go 10 miles. That's one heck of a toll. $4.67.5 per mile. Not too many Americans can afford that. That is not the future that we desire. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Young.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.